that a series about cooking food at school would bring the best out of some of the students, help develop some relationships and bonds between some of these characters, and just overall bring people closer together. I never thought that I'd get that from Gal Gohan. A series about a gal falling in love with her home ec teacher with many loving, memorable, and most of all, nasty moments. By the way, this same series ran in the same magazine as Berserk. Think about that. What's up, you guys? Chase the Dark Sage here, and today we are back with another video. And in today's video, we will be discussing and reviewing Gal Gohan, made by the mangaka Mary Teo. I'm hoping I'm saying that name right. And I never thought that this would be the manga to actually make me want to dabble in the cooking genre a bit in manga. While this manga is definitely focused around cooking, comedy, and catching feelings, I gotta say that I fully enjoyed it. Also, this was one of my first Nasty Man series, so I had to talk about it on the channel. But before we actually get into it, I gotta tell you guys, if you are not already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. That way you can help your boy out within the YouTube algorithm. Follow me on all my other social media platforms. All my links will be in the description down below. So, let's go ahead and get into it. And as usual, with all my reviews, this will be a spoiler-free review. There is no spoiler talk at the end because this manga isn't really worth spoiling. There's not really much to spoil. It's pretty cut and dry beginning and end, and things do happen in the middle. But all the things like plot, characters, my pros and cons will be timestamped in the description down below, so you will be able to see it on the actual cursor bar down below. So let's go ahead and talk about the plot. The story follows as one day a failing student by the name of Okazaki Miku is called in by the principal and tasked to make cookies. The best way she thinks she could achieve this is by asking for help from the new home ec teacher, Shinji Yabe. While she's used to getting by because she's a gal, and you guys know I love my gals, and a lot of people give up on her or don't expect much, that begins to change with one person once she decides to join the cooking club. Now, this series is about 10 volumes and 69 chapters. Nice. I enjoyed most of the chapters I read, with each one feeling like a different episode, and some actually making a mini arc, which is something I really do love within these slice of life rom-coms. With the plot out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of the characters. First character we're going to be talking about is Shinji Yabe, also known as Yabechi as Miku calls him, is the home ec teacher with no students to join his home ec cooking club. A man who was never a ladies' man in school finally gets his turn to play in this story, with women even competing for him, and he doesn't even know it. Oh, the lucky bastard. We also have the main girl of the series, or shall I say gal, Okazaki Miku, the main character and gal of this series. Sweet, caring, and nasty, and sometimes over the top. Her feelings develop for Yabechi over the course of the club meetings she has with him. She's also the only member of his club, intimidating and unintentionally scaring off other girls who might be or get interested in joining the actual home ec club. It sometimes creates for a funny dynamic. Sometimes it does get a little old later on in the series, but either way, I love my gals. So you already know I love Miku. Oh, yes sir, I loved it. We also have Kohara Fujiwara, class president and rival of Yabechi with Miku. The way she runs into the home ec club members is through a violation of misconduct on school grounds. So she is tasked with supervising this club, but in the midst of that, she begins to befriend and admire Miku while also developing feelings for Yabe as well. Now, when we get the love triangle happening, that's when it starts to get a little spicy between the characters. I love it. And the last character that we can actually touch upon is Nagisa Shirahama, a classmate of Yabe's from college and now co-workers. She too has developed feelings for Yabe since college and competes with Miku and Fujiwara for Yabe's love and attention. While she is older and is in the know with the other underage girls, she still feels the need to compete and lightly poke fun at the students. Now, I will say that this obviously was a very interesting rivalry with you competing with underage students to get with a man that's your age. It sounds wrong at first, trust me, I know, but it actually creates for some entertaining moments and sometimes some heartwarming moments, I will say that. Now, that is all I will talk about with these characters, and I'm not going to talk about any of the other casts because honestly, they're really not worth mentioning. They're really just part of the arcs or the part of the chapters that they're part of. They really don't have any lasting effects overall within the general story. But now let's go ahead and talk about what I liked and what I disliked about the series. First pro I have is that the main character is a gal. I like my gals. Second one is that it's fun. This series is not to be taken seriously, considering it is a student trying to make a teacher fall in love with her. And I know some people might not really like that aspect because, well, there's so many things wrong with that sentence I just said, but trust me, it creates for a very fun, funny, entertaining manga. Is the situation wrong overall? And does she put the teacher in compromising situations to where someone needs to put him behind bars, potentially. Maybe, but it's still fun. I love it. Third pro is that the jokes hit. There were plenty of times where I was laughing at the awkward situations Miku would put other characters in. And it's just so funny that when you have these Gal characters, they're just so oblivious to what they're doing that they don't realize how uncomfortable they're making other characters. I just love that interaction between Gals and other non-Gal characters. Fourth pro is that the characters all have their moments to shine and open up. And I feel are written well in the context of what the series is. Like I said, this series really isn't meant to be taken seriously. So with what we do have with these characters, I will say there were some heartwarming moments, and I did grow attached to some of the characters that I did list to you earlier in the character section. And my last pro is that it's a quick read. It's only what, like 69 chapters? Nice. And 10 volumes long. Like, you're not gonna really be investing that much time into this series, but it does give you enough to actually entertain you and make you feel a bit fulfilled within your nasty man heart. Now, there are also some ecchi moments. I will say that this is PG ecchi. This is PG nasty right here, you get what I'm saying? And it's not like super nasty to where it's like something like on the world's end harem spectrum. Like, it's definitely like censored, and it's just like her bending over and her panties showing every now and then, making characters uncomfortable, or something popping out and someone accidentally covering the you know what areas with their arms, you know, certain scenes like that. So I will say that they were enjoyable, and it didn't just like get on my nerves, because sometimes some ecchi moments just happen and you just get annoyed. But in this series, I like the ecchi moments most of the time. Now it's time to actually get into my cons and what I did not like about this series, and honestly, I only have two, so let's go ahead and get into them. First con is that I would have liked more continuing chapters that made mini story arcs. Look, there's nothing wrong with having episodic chapters, nothing wrong. But when you have those chapters that link into each chapter one after another, and you know there's a festival arc. I gotta have my festival arc within my rom-com / slice of life. But I would like more continuing arcs or continuing storylines happening between these chapters, but it's just very episodic, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially with a series like this, but I would have liked more continuing storylines. Second, and my last con, is that many of the supporting cast is sidelined for most of the story, and I would have loved for more rival interactions. Trust me, when you have like a love triangle square thing, I don't know what shape it's supposed to be, but when you have that type of interaction happening between the characters, I would have loved more moments like that, because it creates for great comedic moments within the series. And I will say that I did not get enough of it, especially when these moments really happen between the halfway point of the series and it kind of dies down to the second to last volume. So I didn't get enough of those moments, but I understand for those first few volumes, you're trying to establish Miku and Yabe's, you know, relationship, situationship, student to pupil ship, I don't know what it's called, but you're trying to establish that, but then you throw all these other characters in, and that's when it starts to get really juicy. But we don't get to live in that juiciness for a long time, so I have to add that as a con for the series. But honestly, that's like my last con, because I thoroughly enjoyed the series. Overall, Gal Gohan is a fun, cute, nasty man series where if you go into it not expecting much, you will be entertained. This series is more on the comedy, romance, slice of life aspect, so if you like the episodic route that some slice of life series take, then you'll enjoy this, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. The ending ties things up nicely and feels deserved towards the end of the series. I'm gonna have to give this series a 7 out of 10. This is some fun, PG nasty man material. Can you imagine like Guts fighting and what happened to Guts in the Golden Age arc, and then you just flip and you just see, you know, Gal Gohan on the next chapter? I just can't imagine that. I just can't imagine that. But that's about it for the review, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you are new to the channel, you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, post notification bell, like the video, and comment down below if you are interested in Gal Gohan, or if you have read Gal Gohan, what are your thoughts? No spoilers, but if you do spoilers, make sure you do that long space to where people don't read it, and then people have to click to read more, and then you can read it. Like, make sure you do that if you do want to do spoilers. But let me know if you have read Gal Gohan, and if you have, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd like to say thank you guys for watching, and you already know I gotta give a huge shout out to my Patreon pledgers for going ahead and financially supporting the channel, guys. So I highly appreciate what you guys are doing for me, financially donating on Patreon. And I gotta give a huge shout out to the YouTube members for also financially donating on the YouTube side of things as well. Big shout out to Broke Boy Gang as always, because you know those are people coming through and supporting. But you know I also gotta give a huge shout out to Nasty Man Army, because they saw the thumbnail, they saw the title, they already knew what they was coming in for. I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Dark Sage out. Peace.